Item number 8 is a proclamation recognizing Veterans Day in the United States and Remembrance Day in Canada. Lojinos Gonzalez, Vice Chair, Board of County Commissioners. Good morning.
Thank you. Could I have David Donahue from one of our veteran service officers come down, and anybody else who'd like to come down on this as we read in the proclamation. So I move to approve a motion, a proclamation recognizing Veterans Day in the United States and Remembrance Day in Canada. Whereas the 11th of November, 1918 marked the cessation of combat in what was then the most destructive and far-reaching war in history. And whereas the Congress of the United States, following World War I, officially recognized that the recurring anniversary of this date, which would come to be known as Armistice Day, should be commemorated with thanksgiving and prayer and exercises designed to perpetuate peace through goodwill and mutual understanding between nations. And whereas Congress amended its earlier legislation in 1954 by striking out the word armistice and inserting in its place the word veterans, thereby expressing its intent that November 11th should be a day to honor American veterans of all wars. And whereas the freedoms we enjoy today are protected by our men and women in the United States Armed Forces, and whereas these protectors of liberty put their lives on the line every day to safeguard our way of life, and whereas Canada, our neighbor, our partner in defense, and our trusted ally, honors its military on this day also, calling it Remembrance Day. And whereas families in both countries have stood by proudly as their sons, daughters, husbands, and wives answered the call of duty, and whereas we who have benefited from their painful and many sacrifices are grateful and appreciative of their selfless efforts, and whereas more than 100,000 veterans call the Pikes Peak region home, and all residents of El Paso County, Colorado should join in the pride and appreciation to all veterans. Now, therefore, the Board of El Paso County Commissioners recognizes November 11, 2019 as Veterans Day in El Paso County and encourages all El Paso County citizens to extend the heartfelt greeting, "Thank you for your service," to each and every veteran they meet. Done this 7th day of November 2019 at Colorado Springs, Colorado. The Board of County Commissioners of El Paso County, Colorado, Mark Waller, Chair, Lojinos Gonzalez, Jr., Vice Chair, Stan Vanderwerth, Holly Williams, Cammie Bremer, members, attested to by Chuck Borman, County Clerk and Recorder.
Second.
All right, that's been moved and seconded. Please, if there's anybody that wants to speak on this proclamation, make your way down to the podium and then sign in. State your name, and then you may begin your testimony.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Dave Donahue with the El Paso County Veterans Services. On behalf of Marshal Bosworth, the County Veterans Service Officer could not be here today. His daughter's getting married, so he's giving her away about right now. So I'd like to thank you, the County Commissioners, for honoring the veterans of this county and your undying support. Veterans, thank you. Your service to our nation is unsurpassed. Thank you for the sacrifices that you made and your willingness to serve our country. You endured hardships and were willing to risk your life to maintain our freedom. Please accept our thanks and our gratitude. Commissioners, with 101,000 plus veterans, your support is greatly appreciated. For the last 3 years that I've been here, I've watched this county veterans grow by over 20,000 veterans. So your support is truly needed, especially in this time of growth. So again, on behalf of Marshall, myself, and all the veterans of this county, again, thank you for this proclamation.
Good morning. My name is Margaret Melkai. I am the Vice Chairman of the Pikes Peak Veterans Council. I'm also the president of the Military Widows here in Colorado Springs. I'm also the president-elect of the National Military Widows. I also attend Fort Carson's veterans meetings, as well as the one at Pete Field. I keep pretty busy because I love the veterans. Even though my husband spent over 20 years in the military, and I stood beside him each and every time am so proud of being a wife of a veteran. I want to thank you very much for all your support that you have given to the military veterans here in Colorado Springs. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on behalf of this proclamation? Please come on down. And if you could, sign in, state your name, and then you may begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Joel Negron. I'm actually here as a student for a project, but I'm also a veteran. I did 4 years in the Navy, and I'm also currently an infantryman in the Colorado National Guard with the 157.
Wow, 0 for 2 on service branches. We're all Air Force folks up here.
I tried, but my packet didn't go through. My dad did about 25 years. My brother's still in with 7th Group down in Carolina. My uncle has been in the military. A lot of my cousins, we're all from Puerto Rico. So I didn't know this was a part of the thing today, but I would like to say that in this ever-growing change in times that we're having, it's nice to see that we're still focusing on the military. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
My name is Joyce Murphy, and I'm with the Women's Army Courts, Chapter 75. Unfortunately, I came unprepared because I was told that this was supposed to be a breakfast this morning. And but since I see all my other fellow people here, it makes me feel proud and very proud to be a part of the Colorado Springs area, since I did retire here as well as my husband. And I have kids that's also in the military as well. Thank you so much for all your help and time that you have given to all the soldiers here in the Colorado Springs area.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I've met most of you, but I thought I would come and sit in on the meeting today. And most of you know I am a veteran, and I work at the Pikes Peak Workforce Center as the Military Relations Specialist.
Could you please state your name?
Amy
for the
Phillips.
record? All right,
So
thank
sorry.
you. No, that's okay.
My husband's a veteran. I'm a veteran. We're both retired from the Army. My son is in the Navy. My other son is an Army Reserve soldier. My dad was in the Marines. Glad to be here, and I know all the great work you guys do because I interact with you on a regular basis. So thank you again for all the work you do.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? And thank you for your service, too. Anybody else that'd like to speak on behalf of this proclamation? All right. Seeing none, I'll bring it up to the board for some deliberations and a vote. Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank both of you, actually everybody that came down, for your comments to honor veterans today. As a veteran myself, I was honored to serve for 28 years in defense of the nation, and now I'm honored to belong to an organization, El Paso County, that continues to honor and also serve veterans, throughout our region. And it's so important to do this. It's hard to see it today because there's so many people in America that support our veterans and do so many things for our vets and thank them for their service, but it hasn't always been that way. There were times at the end of the Vietnam War and at other times in our history when the nation didn't seem interested in honoring our veterans, and I'm so glad that we've been able to change that, and we need to keep that tradition. So my brother and my uncle have also served, those that are in my family that are still alive, but there's been a long line of those that have served in my family that are now gone that have also done their share to protect the nation. So there's military service in practically every family in this nation, and we all know that. And I also want to thank our brother countries, Canada and Australia, celebrate this day on 11 November to honor their veterans. They have a little bit of a different tradition and a little bit of a different title, but it's essentially the same. And these are great partners of ours as we defend capitalism, as we defend democracy, as we defend the things that are important for humans, for both freedom, for people, and it's great to have partners like that also celebrate. So again, my hat's off to all veterans. Thank you everybody for the service, and thank you all for being here. This is a great thing for us to continue to do year after year.
Thank you. Commissioner Bremer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, certainly serving our veterans and service members falls into the purview of part of what we do as a county government, but it's so much more than just the county. It's our entire community, and I couldn't be prouder of how this particular community, it's just unlike any other, embraces both our currently serving service members and our veterans, and I'm so proud of the culture that has been fostered here. Much of that is due to organizations like yours, and that continue to make that a priority and keep it at the forefront of people's minds in this community. And it's just part of who we are. And I'm honored by that, and I hope it does continue. And you know, my prayer is that as people are enjoying a day off of work or activities this weekend, or even some Veterans Day sales, that they take a few minutes to remember what that's about and why, that it's not just a holiday from work, it's not just a discount, it came with a sacrifice as well. And my prayer also is that those opportunities and activities are also used to teach our younger generation what patriotism, what honoring our veterans, what respect is all about. So, happy Veterans Day.
Thank you. Commissioner Williams.
Yes, I can go. I was reading one of our newspapers from Monument, and I know that on Monday or maybe Tuesday they're going to have a veterans ceremony. So I was very excited to see that the Monument Academy is stepping in and teaching our kids about the role veterans play in their lives. And the other thing, you know, I come from a family that does have history in the military, and I just wanted to say that I'm really proud of our Veterans Services Office. It's one of the best, I hear, in the state, maybe the nation, and it is what?
It is the best.
It is
yes.
the best.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I just didn't want to offend anyone else. We are the best.
Offend Douglas and Denver counties all you want. We're the best.
So my dad's a veteran, and when we started having problems with him, my husband said, well, why don't you go over to the Veterans Service Office? And I said, well, there's one in Utah where he lives. But we really appreciate all the work that you do to help our 101,000 veterans in our community. Thank you.
You know, this is, as Commissioner Bremer said, an important time of year and a time for us to stop and honor the folks that have served. But, you know, I'm a veteran of the Air Force, so the corporate military. You know, we couldn't fight war without PowerPoint and air conditioning, but that's beside the point. You know, I think one of the things that makes in the United States that makes our military service, you know, perhaps unique to some others in the world and certainly throughout time, is that we've never had a conquering force. We've never had a military that was about conquest or conquering some other nation and imposing our brand of governance on other nations. No, our military has always been about fighting for freedom and fighting for people's rights to live free in society. And I think that sometimes we we're so accustomed to that, sometimes we take that a little bit for granted in understanding what militaries do, but not all militaries fight for freedom the way that ours does. And I'll tell you, I was, as an Iraq war veteran, I was over fighting, I think, for freedom in Iraq. And, part of the responsibility, part of the reason I felt I needed to go there was fight for people's freedoms and fight for their rights to say and do what they want in a free society. And I'll tell you, we live in a very divisive society now, and we live in a circumstance where people can sit behind their computer screens and say the most horrific and divisive things. But that's what our military is all about. Our military is about being able to fight for people's rights to be able to say what they want to say in a free society, whether we agree with them or not. So I think it's important for us to continue to honor veterans, to stop for a moment and think about the sacrifices and service they have made to our country as a force fighting for freedom. And I appreciate you all being here today to help us do that. Commissioner Gonzalez.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So again, I just want to thank everybody, all the veterans out there and their families too, because of the great support they've provided to all those who have served. This is one of my favorite holidays. I always look forward to Veterans Day. I too am a Air Force veteran, 20-year. I did participate yesterday in one of the events as part of the Veteran Affairs Board for the state. They always hold this November monthly meeting up in Aurora, where it's hosted at the Wings Over the Rockies, just before their Aurora City ceremony celebrating Veterans Day there with a luncheon. We do our Veteran Affairs Board meeting there, so it's a very moving and just a rewarding experience going to the veterans activities throughout this week. And so I encourage everybody to get out there and to thank veterans and their families, and to just think about our great country and all those that have served and continue to serve. It's one of those things where it's less and less people are serving in terms of population-wise, but I think most people still that have that great pride in their families that have served, and so many of us have those members. My father served just a couple of years, but he served here at Fort Carson, so it's one of the things I'm very proud of and one of the ties to this great community that I have. So again, thank you for everybody that has ever served, and also to your families for the great support you've provided them.
All right, there's nothing further. I will call the roll. Commissioner Brimmer.
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderwerf.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Gonzalez.
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. That passes unanimously. We will stand in a brief recess for a picture.